In 2024, Yamaha Motor generated over $15 billion in revenue. They are one of the largest motorcycle manufacturers in the world. They have won dozens of world championships. They make everything from superbikes to boats to industrial robots. But here's what nobody talks about. 70 years ago, Yamaha did not make motorcycles. They made pianos and organs and the occasional harmonica. The people running the company had never built an engine. They had never designed a transmission. They had never welded a frame. They were musicians and craftsmen who specialized in making instruments sound beautiful. And in 1955, with absolutely zero experience, they decided to enter a motorcycle market that already had over 100 competitors. Companies were going bankrupt every month. The competition included Honda, who had been making bikes for nearly a decade. Suzuki was already established, and dozens of other manufacturers were fighting over the same customers. Yamaha looked at this bloodbath of a market and said, "Yeah, we can do this." They copied a German motorcycle design that everyone else was already copying. They painted it a color nobody was using. They priced it 13 times higher than a college graduate's monthly salary. And then they bet their entire company on a product category they knew absolutely nothing about. This is the story of how a piano company made the biggest gamble in motorcycle history and won. The Yamaha story starts in 1887 in Hamamatsu, Japan. A man named Torakusu Yamaha was working as a medical equipment repairman when a local school asked him to fix their broken reed organ. He became so fascinated by the instrument that he decided to build his own. With help from local businessmen, he founded Nippon Gaki, which means Japan Musical Instruments. He spent years perfecting his craft, and by 1900, Yamaha had manufactured Japan's first piano. The company grew steadily over the next several decades. By the 1920s, the Kawakami family had taken over, and Nippon Gaki became the largest musical instrument manufacturer in Japan. If you wanted a quality piano in Japan during this era, you bought a Yamaha. Then came World War II. The Japanese government approached Yamaha with a request. Their expertise in woodworking and metalworking made them perfect candidates for a different kind of manufacturing, military manufacturing. Yamaha began producing wooden propellers for Japanese fighter planes and then metal propellers. The same precise craftsmanship that made their pianos beautiful was now being used to keep Zero fighters in the air. When the war ended in 1945, so did the propeller contracts. Yamaha suddenly had factories full of sophisticated metalworking equipment designed for military production, and absolutely nothing to do with it. The company struggled. Japan's economy was devastated. Nobody was buying pianos. The expensive machinery that had made propellers during the war just sat there, rusting and useless. This is where a 38-year-old named Genichi Kawakami enters the story. Kawakami became president of Nippon Gaki in 1950. His father had run the company before him, and now the younger Kawakami inherited a business in crisis. He was a different kind of leader, creative, willing to take risks. He started reorganizing the company's structure, improving production efficiency, and looking for new opportunities. Under his leadership, Nippon Gaki would eventually become the world's largest piano manufacturer. But Kawakami was not satisfied with just making instruments. In 1953, he took a trip to the United States and Europe. What he saw changed everything. The recreational market was exploding. People wanted mobility, fun, freedom. And in post-war Japan, where the economy was finally starting to recover, the motorcycle had become the vehicle of choice. It made sense. Motorcycles were cheaper than cars, easier to manufacture, perfect for Japan's narrow streets and recovering infrastructure, and demand was skyrocketing. When Kawakami returned to Japan, he made a decision that seemed absolutely insane to everyone around him. On November 7, 1953, he issued a highly confidential directive to Nippon Gaki's management team. The message was simple but shocking. Begin building a prototype motorcycle engine. Nobody at the company had ever built a motorcycle engine before. They had no expertise, no experience, no understanding of what the market demanded. But they did have one thing: all that equipment from the propeller factories. The precision casting technology, the metalworking expertise honed over decades of piano manufacturing. The same skills that let them cast flawless piano frames could theoretically be used to cast engine components. Kawakami's logic was unconventional but brilliant. If Yamaha could make a tuning fork vibrate with perfect precision, surely they could figure out how to make a piston move up and down. Here is where the gamble gets even crazier. When Yamaha decided to enter the motorcycle market in late 1953, there were roughly 120 companies making motorcycles in Japan. Some sources say as many as 150. The city of Hamamatsu alone, where Yamaha was headquartered, had 44 motorcycle manufacturers competing for the same customers. New companies were launching every month, and other companies were collapsing just as fast. The Japanese motorcycle market in the early 1950s was brutal, cutthroat, unforgiving. Honda had been building motorcycles since 1946. They had nearly a decade of experience. Suzuki had entered the market in 1952. Both companies were already established with loyal customers and proven products. Yamaha was showing up to a war that had been raging for years, armed with nothing but piano-making skills and a confident attitude. Most people would have looked at these odds and walked away. Kawakami looked at these odds and saw opportunity. His philosophy was simple. If they could build a product that was truly world-class, truly superior to the competition, they had a chance. The question was, what motorcycle should they build? The answer came from an unlikely source: Germany. During World War II, a German company called DKW developed a motorcycle called the RT-125. It was a revolutionary design for its time, a small, efficient, reliable two-stroke engine with innovations that made it superior to most competitors. When Germany lost the war, the Allied forces seized DKW's patents as war reparations. The design was essentially handed out to anyone who wanted it. The Soviets took the plans and started building copies in Russia. The British used it as the basis for the BSA Bantam. Americans copied it to create the Harley-Davidson Hummer. The DKW RT-125 became what historians now call the most copied motorcycle design in history. When Yamaha's engineers started looking for a motorcycle to base their first product on, they found themselves in a strange position. The copyright on the RT-125 had been voided by the Allies, so anyone could copy it legally. And many companies already were, so Yamaha decided to copy it too. But here is where Kawakami's approach made all the difference. He did not just want to copy the RT-125, he wanted to improve it. His mantra for the project became, whatever we can make ourselves, we should make. And everything they made would be better than the original. The development team spent months studying the German design. They reverse-engineered every component. Then they started making changes. The original DKW had a 3-speed transmission. Yamaha gave their version 4 speeds. The original used a non-primary starting system, which meant riders had to put the transmission in neutral before kickstarting. Yamaha developed a primary kickstart system that let riders start the engine with the transmission in any gear. It was the first motorcycle in Japan to have this feature. The engineers applied the same obsessive attention to materials and assembly that they used for pianos. The casting expertise that made piano frames flawless was used to create engine components with unusually tight tolerances. Some early castings came out so misshapen they were compared to earthenware teapots. The team kept refining their process until the final products looked as polished as they performed. By August 1954, just 8 months after Kawakami's secret directive, they had a working prototype. Now came the really crazy part. Most motorcycle manufacturers in Japan were painting their bikes black. It was the standard, the tradition. Black looked professional and serious. Every major competitor used black. Yamaha painted their motorcycle chestnut red with cream accents. In a sea of identical-looking black motorcycles, the Yamaha would stand out like a cardinal in a flock of crows. It was a bold choice. Some thought it was foolish. But Kawakami understood something important about marketing. You cannot be remembered if you look like everyone else. In January 1955, Yamaha's Hamakita factory was ready to begin production. The first bikes rolled off the line and were delivered to dealers in February. They called it the YA1. The price tag was jaw-dropping. 138,000 yen. To put that in perspective, the average starting salary for a male college graduate in Japan at the time was 10,000 yen per month. The YA1 cost more than 13 months of salary for an entry-level white-collar worker. Yamaha wasn't trying to compete on price. They were betting that customers would pay a premium for quality. that the precision engineering, the superior transmission, the elegant design would justify the cost. On July 1st, 1955, Nippon Gaki officially spun off its motorcycle division as a separate company, Yamaha Motor Company Limited. Kawakami became the first president. They had 274 employees, 2 single-story wooden factory buildings, starting capital of 30 million yen, and the capacity to produce about 200 motorcycles per month. By industry standards, they were tiny. A footnote, one of more than 100 companies fighting for survival in a brutal market. And then they did something that changed everything. In July 1955, just months after the YA1 went on sale, Yamaha entered their brand new motorcycle in the third Mount Fuji ascent race. This was one of the most prestigious motorcycle competitions in Japan. It was a timed hill climb where riders blasted up the lower slopes of Mount Fuji along a twisting volcanic ash road. The best manufacturers in Japan sent their finest machines. The YA1 won the 125 cubic centimeter class. A company that had been making pianos less than 2 years earlier had just beaten established motorcycle manufacturers at their own game. The victory sent shockwaves through the industry. But Yamaha wasn't done. In November 1955, they entered the first Asama Highlands race. This was an even bigger event, held over volcanic ash roads at the foot of Mount Asama. Factory teams from Honda, Suzuki, and other major manufacturers showed up with their best machines and their best riders. Yamaha swept the competition. They took first place, second place, and third place, a complete podium lockout in their category. The racing victories did more than just build credibility. They proved that Yamaha's obsessive attention to quality wasn't just marketing speak. The same precision that made their pianos sing had created a motorcycle that could outperform machines from companies with decades more experience. Japanese riders started calling the YA1 Ake Tombo the Red Dragonfly. It was named for its slender body and that distinctive chestnut red finish that made it impossible to miss. Young riders flocked to dealerships. Despite the astronomical price, demand exceeded supply. Word spread that the Red Dragonfly wasn't just beautiful, it was better. By the time production ended in 1957, Yamaha had sold approximately 11,000 YA1s. For a brand new manufacturer with no track record, charging prices that most buyers could barely afford, this was an extraordinary success. The piano company had become a motorcycle company. The gamble had paid off. What happened next is the stuff of business legend. Yamaha did not rest on the success of the YA1. In 1957, they released the YA2, another 125 cubic centimeter two-stroke with significantly improved frame and suspension. That same year, they introduced the YD1, their first 250 cubic centimeter twin-cylinder motorcycle. Each new model built on the lessons learned from the last. In 1956, Yamaha entered international competition for the first time, taking the YA1 to the Catalina Grand Prix in California. They placed 6th against established international competitors. Not a victory, but a statement. The Red Dragonfly could compete on the world stage. The rivalry between Yamaha and Honda became legendary. Both companies pushed each other to innovate faster, design better, and build stronger. This competition did not just benefit the companies, it transformed the entire Japanese motorcycle industry. By the early 1960s, Japanese manufacturers were beating European competitors in international racing. By the mid-1960s, they were dominating. The Big Four, as Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki became known, did not just compete with Western manufacturers, they destroyed them. British motorcycle companies that had ruled the industry for decades found themselves unable to compete with Japanese quality and pricing. The BSA Group, which had once been the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world, collapsed. Triumph struggled. Norton fell. The industry that had been dominated by European and American companies was now ruled by Japan. And Yamaha, the piano company that had bet everything on a copied German design, was at the center of it all. Today, Yamaha Motor Company is a global conglomerate. They have won 39 motorcycle world championships, including 7 in MotoGP and 10 in the preceding 500cc two-stroke class. They have recorded over 200 victories at the Isle of Man TT. Names like Valentino Rossi have raced under the Yamaha banner. The R1, the MT series, the YZF line, the Star Cruisers. These are not just motorcycles, they are icons. But Yamaha did not stop at motorcycles. They applied the same approach to outboard motors and boats, becoming the global leader in water vehicle sales. They make ATVs, golf carts, industrial robots, semiconductor manufacturing equipment. The company that started by making reed organs now operates 137 subsidiaries across every continent on Earth. In fiscal year 2024, Yamaha Motor reported revenues of over $17 billion. They are still the world's second largest motorcycle manufacturer, trailing only their eternal rival Honda. The tuning fork logo that appears on every Yamaha product is a direct callback to their musical instrument heritage. 3 tuning forks intertwined, a reminder that this massive mobility empire grew from a piano factory in Hamamatsu. So what made the difference? How did a company with zero experience succeed where so many others failed? Part of it was Genichi Kawakami's leadership, his willingness to bet big, his insistence on quality over everything, his understanding that being different, being memorable, mattered as much as being good. Part of it was the unexpected advantage of their musical instrument background, the precision casting, the attention to materials, the culture of craftsmanship that had been built over decades of making pianos. These skills transferred to motorcycle manufacturing in ways nobody predicted. Part of it was timing. Japan's economy was recovering. Demand for affordable transportation was exploding. The market was ready for someone to rise above the competition, but mostly it was the decision to not just copy the competition, but to beat them, to take a German design and make it better, to paint it a color that nobody else was using, to charge more and justify it with quality, to prove themselves in competition before asking anyone to trust them. The YA1 was not just Yamaha's first motorcycle. It was proof of concept for an entire philosophy. Build something better, make it beautiful, then prove it in the harshest conditions possible. That philosophy took a piano company to the top of the motorcycle world. If you made it this far, you are clearly into stories like this. Hit subscribe because I cover the craziest moments in motorcycle and automotive history every week. And if you want to see how Honda, Yamaha's biggest rival, built their empire from a shed in Hamamatsu, that video is on screen now. I'll see you in the next one.